Hello, my awesome Algebra 3 class. We are ready for another exciting online trip. Today, we will draw angles in standard position. This is in Chapter 7, Section 1 of our ebook. Let us review a few things from our geometry days. Here is a ray. It has one endpoint and it extends in one direction. Ray EF. We start with the endpoint, ray EF. Also, let us review an angle. An angle is made up of the two rays, EF and the ray ED. So this is angle DEF, and notice that the vertex E is in the middle, angle DEF, or the symbol. Or we could call it angle FED, but the vertex you see is still in the middle. Or, since there's no confusion about the angle, we could just call it angle E. Or we could call it angle theta. Here I'm using the Greek symbol theta for angle. In our ebook, on page 576, here are some other names that we will use for our angle: theta, phi, alpha, beta, gamma. These are our Greek letters: theta, phi, alpha, beta, gamma. Now let's look at an angle again. We're going to have an initial side. We're going to have a terminal side. And we're going to have a vertex. Initial side is normally along the positive x-axis. Here's the terminal side and here's the vertex. Now let's talk about an angle being in standard position. Well, here, standard position, see here's the positive x-axis. This is the initial side, the positive x-axis. We're moving counterclockwise. You see, going in this direction counterclockwise. And when we start on the positive x-axis and we go in a counterclockwise direction, the angle will be positive. So positive angles are generated by counterclockwise rotation. Start on the positive x-axis and we're moving counterclockwise. Let's talk about another angle in standard position. Another angle in standard position. Again, this time, we're starting on the positive x-axis as our initial side. But this time we're going clockwise, like the hands of a clock. We start on the positive x-axis and we go clockwise. We're going to have negative angles. Negative angles are generated by clockwise rotation. So again, we start on the positive x-axis and we go clockwise. That's a negative angle. So let's look at this again. We're going to be looking at angles going counterclockwise. Standard position. So here you see positive x-axis, and I'm moving counterclockwise from 0 degrees to 90 degrees, 90 degrees to 180 degrees. And then we're going on to what? 270 degrees to one complete rotation, which is 360 degrees. So we're going what? Counterclockwise. Well, if we start on the positive x-axis, and this time we're going to go clockwise, remember the angles are negative. So 0 degrees, see it's negative 90 degrees this time, then negative 180, then negative 270, negative 360 degrees. That is when we're going what? Clockwise. The angles are negative. They have some special angles called quadrantal angles. A quadrantal angle has its terminal side on the x-axis or on the y-axis. These are examples of quadrantal angles: 0 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 270 degrees, 360 degrees, negative 90 degrees, negative 180 degrees, negative 270 degrees, negative 360 degrees. Let's look at this again. You see, I start here on the positive x-axis, and I'm going counterclockwise. You see the terminal side you see right here ends up on what? The positive y-axis. So that's a quadrantal angle. If I start on the positive x-axis and I go counterclockwise, here my terminal side will end up on the 180 degrees. You see, these are examples of our quadrantal angles. And here again, you see, if we start on the positive x-axis and we go clockwise, you see this is what negative 90 degrees, negative 180 degrees. Again, these are examples of our quadrantal angles. They're called quadrantal angles. Now, let's draw an angle in standard position. 30 degrees. Well, if it's in standard position, remember we're going to start on the positive x-axis. This is positive. We're going to be going counterclockwise. And you see 30 degrees is between 0 degrees and what? 90 degrees. This is in quadrant 1. Let's look at another example of drawing an angle. This time we're going to be looking at 300 degrees. So here we start at the positive x-axis. And we're going to be going what? Counterclockwise. So remember, going this direction, we have the 90 degrees. Then the 180 degrees. Then the 270 degrees. We're doing 300 degrees. So you see it's going to terminate. The terminal side will be in what? Quadrant 4. Starting at 0 degrees. And we started over here on the positive x-axis, 0 degrees. And we want what? Counterclockwise. So the terminal side is in quadrant 4. Let's look at another example. Here we're going to have a negative 80 degrees. And we're going to start on the positive x-axis. But since it's negative, we're going clockwise. And remember, we started out with what? 0 degrees. Then we go like this. This is what? Negative 90 degrees. So you see a negative 80 degrees is between what? 0 degrees and negative 90 degrees. So a negative 80 degrees terminates in quadrant 4. Let's look at another example. Here we have a negative 120 degrees. We're going to start on the positive x-axis. As this is negative, we're going clockwise. So you start off with what? 0 degrees, negative 90 degrees. It'd be what? A negative 180 degrees. Well, a negative 120 degrees falls between a negative 90 degrees and a negative 180 degrees. So you see it terminates in quadrant 3. It terminates in quadrant 3. And then let's look at another example. A negative 315 degrees. We're going to start on the positive x-axis right here. Start at 0 degrees. Since it's negative, we're going what? Clockwise. So it's negative what? 90 degrees. Negative 180 degrees, negative 270 degrees, and you see past 200, negative 270 degrees, let me put the degree symbol there, and we keep on going. So we're going to estimate, and remember, one complete rotation would have been a negative what? 360 degrees. So a negative 315 degrees falls between a negative 270 degrees and negative 360 degrees. So you see it's going to terminate in quadrant 1. So this is our negative 315 degrees. We have been drawing angles in standard position, the positive angles and the negative angles. And remember, when you are reviewing this video, you stop, rewind, review. Stop, rewind, review. My love goes out to you.